So can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, you do. Good morning, everyone. And yes, so there it is. Give me 3 more seconds. This is it. So, good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants. My name is Aziliz Guérin. I'm the Brussels point of contact for the Defence Directorate for the European Defence Agency. And on behalf of the Defence Directorate, I'm very happy to address you today for this very first information session dedicated to the R&T activities of the EDA. And I believe that such event comes at a point in time where Luxembourg's industries and researchers show a constantly growing interest and also involvement in activities linked to defense research and technology, which is something that, of course, we consider being particularly positive. So, the cooperation between the European Defence Agency and Luxembourg goes back all the way to the creation of the agency in 2004. What one can say beforehand is that Luxembourg has always been most supportive of the European Defence Agency's needs and actions. But because we are a small country and because the Defence Directorate hasn't always been so well staffed as it is today, Luxembourg's support has very much been of financial nature in the past. So things started changing in 2017, approximately. We've had the defense guidelines that were published by then, and in which the government committed to increase spendings in defense R&D. In 2018, then, the coalition agreement came to reiterate the government's commitment to now help Luxembourgish entities, and especially SMEs, to access the EU defense markets, which was also very new at that time. And finally, in 2021, we've launched a cooperation with Luxinnovation in order to support you, industries and researchers, with all the means available in Luxembourg. And although this cooperation is pretty young, it has already proved to be very fruitful and promising. So at this stage, many thanks to all our colleagues in Luxinnovation for the work done up until here. What you see on this slide is just to give you a very high-level view of the weight of R&T activities at the agency. So the blue box states that the EDA currently manages a portfolio of over 80 R&T projects and programs for a total value of 360 million euros. That gives you a very vague idea. If we look at it more in detail, you can note that the EDA currently, now today, executes 46 R&T projects in all kind of domains for a total value of 230 million euros, and to this add 39 projects that will probably be launched still either this year or next year for another 130 million euros. So what that means is that, or what these numbers tell us, is that despite of the agency's discreteness, or maybe you haven't heard much of it until now, or maybe haven't had to do a lot with it until now, but still it does a lot in terms of R&T, and all this represents tremendous opportunities for you as industries and researchers, and we strongly intend, Luxinnovation and the Defence Directorate, to bring all these opportunities close to you. Maybe one more aspect is to say that generally, the R&T category B projects, so those that are basically born in the CapTEchs, which you will discover more today, they have an average of 4 to 5 contributing member states, which means that in the frame of the EDA, you don't need to have a huge member state backing in order for you to get a project launched. It's everything happens in the EDA. It's to be seen with your own member states. You will see that you will discover all that during the seminar today, and it is actually much more easier than in the frame of other projects or programs, as we can see, like the European Defence Fund. It's totally different. So here, everything can be made possible at a very small scale. And I will let Julien, Silverio, and Michel Gari explain this more in detail to you. To conclude, our vision of EDA R&T activities, and especially the CapTEchs, is that, first of all, they're extremely interesting, or they're an extremely interesting tool for member states also, because they can spend defense budgets in valuable and also relevant defense research. Member states can, through this means, support EU cooperation, EU defense capabilities, and everything which we want to achieve at political level. And as MOD, you need to note that we very much like working with the European Defence Agency because it's the EU, it's transparent, it's easy even for us, and we control everything that happens in the agency, since it's an intergovernmental agency which is entirely steered by the member states. So this is, I think, also an important thing to know. The vision we have is also that it offers an immense field of opportunities for you, for industries and RTOs, especially when you participate in CapTEchs, because they offer you an ideal networking and business framework for all kind of defense R&T activity. And also the last thing would be that the EDA applies different rules to cooperative and cross-border cooperation in terms of competition. So this can also ease a lot your implication and involvement into R&T projects, and especially it can be used for you as a trampoline to access the EU defense markets. And finally, our expectation would be that of course, we're looking forward to increase our overall contribution to the agency, not only through financial boosts, but also through our national competencies, our innovation capacity, everything that you, industry and RTO actually stand for. And national actors joining CapTEchs is what we're looking forward to, so that you can promote your skills and your excellence. And if you get involved in CapB projects, then you can not only support your own activities, but also EU defense initiatives. So it's a whole, and the loop is closed. And in the end, it will also lead to you having a better understanding of the whole European defense ecosystem, which we believe is important if you intend to be further involved in defense activities. So all in one, the EDA in general, but CapTEchs in particular, are a very valuable tool for any actor, industry and RTO, that intends to enter defense markets. And the most important thing here would be that this is possible with or without defense experience or background. So I'm very confident that today's session will provide you with all the key information that you will need. It will either convince you to start working with the EDA, or it will even further your interest, or even further your activities already in place with the EDA, and offer you much more opportunities. So thank you very much for this, and do not hesitate to contact the Defense Directorate in case you have questions about, well, vision and expectations. And that would be. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Aziliz. Thank you very much, Aziliz. And a warm welcome to everyone this morning on this session organized with the Direction of Defense and with Luxinnovation and the other partners and companies who are presenting today. I'm Benjamin Questier. I'm the Director of the R&D and Innovation Support Programs here at Luxinnovation. And on that sense, I would like to welcome everyone as well. The idea today is really to make you available the information that there is and the opportunities that exist on European level, and how we at Luxinnovation can help you. As you know, we are the National Innovation Agency, and our mission is to empower every company here in Luxembourg to innovate today to be ready for the world for tomorrow. So to innovate means also to help you with your individual bottlenecks or issues, or even with your vision, how to implement it in new ways. But in that sense, also raise awareness about the different kind of programs that exist. And these programs and the CapTEchs that we're tackling today are a huge opportunity for us to plug into, and especially for you as a company. And so on our side, what we really want to make available is a support we offer under the responsibility of the Direction de la Défense, who is in charge of the program. And today you have this main information delivered by the different people. So just a warm welcome on my side, and I wish everyone a very nice session.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. Thank you very much, Aziliz, for this very nice introduction. So I think it's important to say that yeah, we have really had a very good collaboration so far, and this collaboration has been dealing in the, let's say, in the first 6 months mostly on the European Defence Fund, but it also touches upon the European Defence Agency and also at the NATO. And I think here in this context of the European Defence Agency, it's very important to understand that these R&T activities and the European Defence Fund are really two different pair of shoes. Nevertheless, there are really important links in between them to be considered. And Michel Gari, our next speaker, will tell us all about it. So Michel Gari, the floor will be yours. I'll just upload the PDF right away.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex. Michel Gari, I spent 30 years in the ministry, the French Ministry of Defense in DGA, the procurement agency, as an aeronautic engineer, and I was recruited by the European Defense Agency at the very beginning, where I spent 4 years, and since 2008, I am managing consulting activity to support industry. In that context, in the framework of the cooperation between Defense, Direction Defense and Luxinnovation, I was, let's say, recruited by Luxinnovation to support them. And in that context, I will explain or try to explain to you why you have interest to participate in the R&T activities in the EDA. So the aim of this the information session is to explain again, because we started a couple of months ago, again, the main strand of the R&T activity developed by the European Defence Agency, and to let understand to you why enterprise and RTO have interest in participating in the CapTEch. Next one, please. So I will, my presentation will be organized in 4 parts. First, a background regarding the European Defence Agency, then how the CapTEch are structured, and what is the substance and the workload and the aim of the CapTEch. A word about 2 strange tools, the overarching strategic research agenda and the related technical building blocks which are structuring the activity in terms of R&T cooperation, and then what could be the opportunity for you to participate in this CapTEch. Next one, please. So just a small information about the position of EDA in the institutional training. Pop up. Sorry, I will cut. Okay, so. So at the top, you have Mr. Borrell, who is the High Representative for the Union and Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, who is at the same time the head of the European Defence Agency. We have to know that. And Mr. Borrell is under the control of the European Council, and he is chairing the Foreign Affairs Council, which gather the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Defense in what we call the jumbo meeting. It was the case last week, for example. And on the other side, you have the European Defence Agency, who received guidelines from the right side of the slide. And for the day-to-day business, the European Defence Agency has a chief executive, who is Mr. Sedivi, a Czech citizen, former ambassador. That's the rough picture of the institutional setting. Next one, please. So regarding the EDA background, so it was created in 2004, as Aziliz already stated. By the way, you will probably have a redundancy between my presentation, the presentation of Aziliz, and the next one, but it belongs to pedagogy to have to repeat some item. So from the time being, the EDA is composed by 26 participating member states, the 27 minus Denmark, who is opting out. And the agency counts about 180 people for the time being. It is a small amount of people. So it is, and you have to remember that, an intergovernmental agency, not under the communitary activity like the Commission, and that's why she's under the control of the Council. And the role of the agency is to improve and to support the participating member state, to improve the defense capability, and to strengthen the competitivity of defense industry, what we call the EDTIB, the European Defense Technological and Industry Base, which this acronym will come many times. We come many times on the table. It's concretize the European defense industry. Two main work strands for the agency. First, capability, to identify the capability priority, and then to support defense technology research. By the way, for the first strand, capability development, you will have another presentation on 17th of December made by the director of capability of the EDA, which will explain the process of the capability development. And the organization of the agency, I already said, Mr. Borrell is the head. You have to bear in mind that Mr. Borrell is as well a vice president of the Commission. That means he has a two hat, intergovernmental hat and a communitary hat. In the agency, you have especially three directorates: capability, industry, and RT, research and technology and innovation. And that's the point we will explain today. This directorate is led for the timing by a French guy, Jean-François Ripoche, who was previously the director, the R&T director for France within EDA steering board. And this directorate is composed of two units and an RTI coordination team. So the first unit is related for the activity linked to the PADR, the test run of the Fed in the R&T sector. The second unit is dealing with CapTEch, and we will focus on that today. And as Aziliz said, you have to bear in mind that since the beginning of the creation of EDA, more than 1 billion were invested by the member states. You have to notice that by the member states is in R&T project. Next one, please. So to understand the mechanism, you have to know what are the kind of project and the kind of financing sources of EDA. Two funding model or two funding sources: the small operational budget OB of the EDA. You will see it will be around 5 million euro per year for some studies. And the second funding instrument is or are the national budget of the contributing member state. Contributing member state, CMS, this represents the member states, member of EDA, who are contributing in one project. So it could be 3, 4, or 5 contributing member states per ad hoc project. And the different project, you can have simple study funded by the agency. You will see that in some cases, we need this preliminary study to launch project funded by the nation. And regarding the project funded by the nation, you have 2 categories of project. Roughly spoken, the first category A is a project where competition is organized. We won't speak about this project today. And the second category is the ad hoc category B project, the opt-in project with an organization without competition. That's very interesting for us. Next one, please. So just to explain to you what are the origin of the CapTEch. At the beginning, the capability domain was split in 3 main domains, each having 2 subdomains. And in mirror, in order to prepare the development of this capability, the EDA, the European Defence Agency, thought to have in mirror 3 big domains in terms of technology in order to support the development of those military capability. So next slide, just to explain the origin of the CapTEch. So what is a CapTEch? CapTEch means Capability Technology Group, dedicated to a particular technology area. So the general task of the CapTEch is to identify the critical defense technology gap and to point out some common area of cooperation. Another aspect to consider, the OSRA, overarching strategic research agenda, which is an enabler or a kind of a coherence tool in order to structure the work of the different CapTEchs and to have something coherent. Of course, the main task of the CapTEch is to have a collaborative approach in R&T in order to support, and you have to bear in mind, it is permanently to bear in mind that in support to the development of defense capability. And of course, at the end of the day, to generate collaborative R&T, to contract project in the dedicated technology scope. So for that, the R&T domain is split in 15 areas for the time being, in comparison with the 12 at the very beginning, managed by 13 CapTEch, 13 technology group, and 2 working group. Don't ask why this difference, but the functioning is absolutely the same. So you can consider that there is 15 entities working at on the same model. So it is a place, the CapTEch, it is a place where the experts in terms of R&T are meeting from state, what we call the CNC, the CapTEch National Coordinator. By the way, Aziliz is one of the CNC for Luxembourg in the certain CapTEch, the industry representative, the research organization representative, academia, and this group are chaired by an EDA moderator or EDA project officer. For the functioning, the CapTEch at the beginning drafted the term of reference, and for each CapTEch, and it could be different from one CapTEch to any other CapTEch. Very important, within the CapTEch, you have an industry reporter. It is a recent ID 3, 4, 5 years ago, elected for 2 years by the peers, by the industry representative in the CapTEch, and the rapporteur has quite power because he holds the pen for the minutes and for some other issue. Usually you have 3 plenary sessions per year, and of course additional ad hoc meeting in regard to the project which are launched by one CapTEch. There are also possibility to organize closed session between only state participants, between CNC and EDA, or a closed session within industry under the responsibility of the rapporteur. Next slide, please. So the scope of work again, so it's to work on this priority, and especially to identify and maintain what we call the technical building blocks, sorry, and the related roadmap that you will see, which will point out the different project and possible financial instrument to be used. In each CapTEch, you have what we call the strategic research agenda, which have a three strand: a technology watch first, second to identify the technology shortfall, and the third strand to recommend investment plan in cooperation. And then the third bullet, of course, the role of the CapTEch is to launch cooperative project. And you have to notice that the work done in the CapTEch is contributing to identify topics for the research action of the European Defence Fund. Next one, please. Here you have a picture which illustrates the CapTEch structure. This picture is, by the way, another slide. I have added the industry rapporteur, which, in my opinion, it's a very important role, and to support the CapTEch moderator. Yes. Okay. Sorry. Next slide, please. Next. Here you have the list of the CapTEch, the working group, the responsible from EDA, the moderator, the email address, and each time you have to be candidate for a CapTEch, you have to send an email to the CapTEch moderator, of course, with copy to the defense, the Direction de la Défense, in order to have the green light. Go ahead. So, what is OSRA? OSRA, overarching strategic research agenda. It is quite, let's say, new initiative in order to bring coherency between the different CapTEch in their work. That's a tool. That's a tool. One of the outcome of this or using this tool is the famous TBB, the technology building blocks. It was done by combining a top-down approach from the military capability need and considering what we call the GMTL, the generic military task list. That means the description of the detailed military task. And to have that on a long-term vision, that one strand of the CDP that will be explained to you on the 17th of December. For the time being, we have the version 2 of the OSRA, which was issued in 2018. The different CapTEch are working in the direction of perhaps to have a new version in the coming years. So for the time being, 136 TBB were identified and prioritized, but noticed that the priority was given by the member states, and the industry is not, or at least all the industry members are not aware about the prioritization made by the member state. You will see later on the screenshot from the EDA platform on this issue. And the CapTEch define CapTEch. When I'm speaking about CapTEch, I include working groups as well. There's the 15 groups defining roadmaps, and the roadmaps are really the very important outcome of the CapTEch to identify the project for each TBB. And of course, for this project, of course, no, you have to know that preferred financial instrument has always to be right down in the roadmap. You will see. Okay, next one, please. Here, a rapid slide, which element to consider in order to define a TBB. This slide is an EDA slide. I don't comment. You will keep this in your documentation fund if you want. I suppose that all the slide will be made available for the participant, I suppose. So next one, please. Here you have a substance of a roadmap, and notice the second part below that it will support the European Defence Fund work programs for the future. Next slide, please. Now the status of the OSRA. All the TBB were defined. All the strategic research agenda was adapted according to the OSRA methodology. All the technology building block roadmap were finalized, and bear in mind that this information were disseminated, were circulated to the European Commission as well. In order to have a look on that, you can have access to the EDA prioritization platform. For the time being, the EDA wanted to have one point of contact for industry. I suggest that Luxinnovation, perhaps Alexander, could be the focal point of contact to give access to each industry or RTO who want to see what is about this OSRA, TBB, and roadmaps. And then the access could be given case by case through a unique point of contact. We can discuss later on about this issue. Next one, please. Here you will have some screenshot of this platform in order to show you what you can have as information on this platform. This platform as prioritization platform is dealing not only with R&T, but also with capability on the left side and with a key strategic activity on the right side. What we have to concentrate on the central part of the R&T priority. So you will see that this information are adapted. What does it mean, adapted? Adapted means for industry, and in other words, it is simplified. You don't have all the information made available to the member states, but it is very useful anyway. So you will have on the second line the TBB list with a short description, and on the third line the detailed roadmap. Next slide, please. Here you have an extract of the TBB list. So each CapTEch has identified his TBBs. For example, here for the CapTEch material on the screen, we have 10 TBBs. On the screen, you have the TBB 1, 2, 3, and 4 with a short description. So the 136 TBB are described on the same way. Next slide. Then you have the roadmap. For example, I took as example again the CapTEch materials. Next slide. For all the TBB, we have the same structure for the roadmap with the different paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the paragraph 4 and 3 and 4, usually you find the description of the project Next slide, please. Yes. The description of the project with a timeline and with the instrument, the financial instrument recommended. On the next slide, you will have the detail of the paragraph 4 here, technical recommendation. You will see. Next one. So in this paragraph, the TBB is divided in sub-TBB. In this example, you have 4 sub-TBB, and for each sub-TBB, you have a different topic that will be a subject of project. In this example, the TBB 01 has cut 4 group of technology, and for the group new lightweight structure and testing methodology, there are 4 topics. And for each topic, a single project study which encompasses various activity is recommended. The next slide will show you the topic truss-like structures. For this topic, which encompass 3 activities, you see the 3 activities: identification of potential, case studies, and so on. So the project study recommendation contains timelines, the TRL level to be addressed, the preferred potential funding sources, could be operational budgets studies, could be CapTEch project, could be Horizon 2020 in the past and now Horizon Europe, could be even structural fund. And you have also the synergies with other TBB of the CapTEch. Next slide. And all the previous elements are gathered in an Excel table, which unfortunately on the screen and even on the site of EDA is quite unreadable. I already made the observation to my colleague from EDA on this problem, but it's still to be solved. But you have roughly spoken a timeline over 9 years, and the different colors illustrate the recommended funding sources: operational budget, CatB project, or a European Defence Fund. Next slide, please. Now, the fourth part of my speech. What are the opportunity for you? The first opportunity is to use the EDA operational budget, OB. In the identification of project, you can need to launch some preliminary study with a small amount, and the operational budget are fully funded and managed by the EDA and subject to competition. The EDA launch calls for that issue. Previous, yeah, please here. All participating member states, the PMS, get the project information, and the results are shared between them. So, to be aware of this competition, you have to go regularly to the site of the EDA, which is mentioned here, EDA Europe EU procurement, or where you will have the announcement of the competition. Again, for your information, for the next year, the operational budget was already voted. You will have 4.5 million euro. It is a small amount, but it is even good to be taken. I wrote the administrative or the legal document which is leading this approach on the last line. Next slide, please. The second opportunity is to take benefit of the national budget, because you have, again, to bear in mind that the CatB project are funded by the nation, by their national budget. So 3 steps to reach a CatB contract. The first step is to draft an outline description, OD, in the outline description, which is elaborated within the CapTEch, we have already a lot of information, which is concretized by a steering board decision. The steering board is the organism driving the EDA work, and really in the outline description you have a lot of information. I will show you an example of outline description. The second step is a project or program arrangement draft by the EDA and by the CMS. CMS, again, the contributing member state which plan to participate in this project and to fund in this project. That this project and program arrangement concretizes the CMS commitment, and particularly to fund the project. The third step is, of course, to sign a contract. And before signing a contract, first the industry consortium has to propose a research technical proposal, what we call RTP, elaborated by the project leader of the CMS. The participant in the project from the industry side, I mean, have to build up or to sign a consortium agreement, and the negotiator with EDA will be the coordinator on behalf of the other participant. And then the signature of the contract is done by the EDA and the coordinator. So that's, well, the second opportunity for you take benefit of the national budget. And now the third one, next slide, please. Oh, sorry. Yes, I will pass quite rapidly. These are the next slide are the example of outline description. You can have a look on at home. And here I put you the different headline of a project arrangement, project or program arrangement for your information. Next one. This is another slide showing the articulation of the CATB project management. The PRMG is the project arrangement management group with in charge of manage the project in front of EDA. Next one, please. The third opportunity to be taken, or that you can take from your side, is the EU budget, not the national budget, but EU budget. EU budget through mainly the European Defence Fund, and why not in the framework of the civilian research program Horizon Europe. So the EDA prioritization role within the CapTEch is an important element to contribute to identifying the different topics of EDF research and even development call, you will see at the end of the slide, and to suggest also Horizon Europe. And I did it right here, but sometimes using the structural fund also for different small projects. So the first solution, or the first possibility to have influence based on the CapTEch work is that EDA send all the food for thought paper and the TBB roadmap directly to the Commission. The second way is to use our national representative in the program committee, and here we have the two folders possibility of influence to find out our project in the EDF. As a result, we have to notice that among the 23 calls EDF call in 2021, with 37 topics. 3 topics are directly resulting from the CapTEch works. You have the first one here, which result from the CapTEch component roadmap. The second one is resulting from the CapTEch ground system work, GOSRA, which was a project launched in the framework of this CapTEch. And the third one is resulting from the CapTEch information. So that means we have a reality of the direct influence of the CapTEch work on the EDF approach. So that's conclude my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Michel, and yeah, most of all for this very holistic overview. Now, I think it's very interesting and for our participants to understand that here in this CapTEch, the so-called technology working groups of the European Defence Agency, the MODs, the DODs, and the industry are really sitting on the table together and define together also this R&T activities that shall be addressed in the future to strengthen the European defense capabilities. In this sense, it's really a unique constellation. And moreover, you really get the chance here to work directly with the prime contractors of the European defense industry landscape. So thank you very much, Michel. I think we have one question, but I propose to address it later after the presentation of Julien. So the next presentation will be of Julien, and he's the R&T POC of Luxembourg, so point of contact. And as such, he has a key role to play within the European Defence Agency's CapTEch. Julien, the floor is yours.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me, first of all?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes, perfect. Okay, let me just get the presentation over here. Okay, so hello, everybody. Thank you for being here today. My name is Julien Silverio. I'm part of the strategic planning department at Luxembourgish DoD, and I am in charge of capability projects and more international R&T subjects, projects, programs, whatever, the whole shebang. So my presentation will be more specifically on the procedures, the process of CapB projects coming from CapTEch, from when you get in such a project until it's finished, and where we as DoD intervene. And also, I'll quickly go through what we have, DoD's priorities, if you want, and I will start with that directly. So those are all the CapTEchs that Michel already showed you, and now priorities as such, I have put some in bold and underlined. Those are not the CapTEchs that we only look at. Those are the ones which where we have, for instance, for the cyber and space, we have national, space will soon have national strategies. So they are more in line with our global view of our national defense. All the other CapTEchs are, of course, open to enter. Anybody can enter from the industry or RTOs can enter any CapTEch, and to already answer the question which was asked, how to enter a CapTEch. So Michel, in his slide, also showed the moderators for the various CapTEchs. Of course, you can contact them and put myself and Aziliz in CC, or you can simply contact me or Aziliz if you directly, and you say, oh, I would like to enter CapTEch ground systems, for instance. Then we will do the necessary work to get you in. It's quite straightforward. You don't need any specific function specialization or level of seniority. It's simply you ask us, and we will, of course, talk with you if it's the right CapTEch, if you have the right vision of what's going to happen in that CapTEch, because we have cyber and we have communication information systems. Those are various projects quite close, but we can guide you a bit more well on what's relevant. So don't hesitate to contact us directly. So what can the DoD, or how can we help you in the CapTECs? So first of all, and that's something I think a lot of you will be interested in, I can contact the EDA, the various moderators of the CapTECs, and ask if we have, I won't say critical mass, but we have enough people interested to have a catch-up meeting of what's happening in a particular CapTEC. So if we have now 5 companies willing to join, or 3 is even is enough, the CapTEC Cyber, I can ask the moderator of Cyber if the industry, our industry needs it, if we can have a catch-up meeting to get a bit of a closer look at what's happening and where it's going, and so you are not simply thrown into a CapTEC and you are going to ask what's happening. I don't understand anything, and everybody. So I think it's something we can bring. Then another point is push a national technological opportunity in the CNC level CapTEC meetings. So in a slide of Michel, he talked about the closed sessions, which are also on one part on the CNC level and other part is industry level. On the CNC level, there are also discussions about the prioritization of TBBs and so on, which Michel already mentioned. We as Luxembourgish DoD don't really have strong priorities at technology level because we don't have the expertise ourselves in-house. So if the industry thinks, if one of you thinks we have something which would work in the TBB, and you tell us, we can say, for Luxembourg, this is a priority, even if it's not for us, DoD, it will be nationally for our industry and RTOs. Then, what we can also do is get in contact with our peers, other CNCs, and try and have the industry, somebody from the industry, join for a consortium. For instance, we have one national Luxembourgish company with which is interested in a project, but we don't find a second one, a second company that would join, because you need to be at least 2. You can tell us, and we can ask our Belgian, French, or whoever colleagues if they have somebody. Okay, if they have somebody who would be willing to join, and so on. Then something which is very important. It's very easy to contact me. I have my contact information on the first slide. Usually I respond quite quickly. We give early feedback so that you don't lose your time on projects which we cannot carry. So if you want to do a project, let's say, I always take the example, I get a slide back, in CapTEC missiles and munitions, I can already, with quite certainty, tell you that it's not good. We cannot fund that. We cannot help you. It's not going, because most of the projects in there are politically not viable. So that's an extreme case. But even in other CapTECs, there are projects which we can carry, which we can help you, and other ones which we can simply say there will be no funding. That's not possible. But very early on, so you don't lose your time trying to work into one direction if we can already tell you that's not going to happen. That's very, our positions are quite clear on many subjects. So I won't talk about it here because it's a bit can be a bit sensitive, but if you come with a proposition, we will tell you quite quickly at a very early stage if it's okay, the scope is fine, and budget-wise also if it's okay. And then we also, in various stages that I will show you, we can provide a bit of administrative support in drafting some of the documents where you may not have the necessary information or input that is asked of you, and I have no problem to help so that we, as Luxembourgish side, get the document correct and so on. So that's not an issue. So for ad hoc projects, so I'm talking here about CatB ad hoc projects coming from CapTEch, from various CapTEchs that Michel already alluded to in his presentation. There are 4 phases. Michel showed 3, but those are taken from the EDA slide on my side here, and there are 4 phases. The first one, the most important one for us, DoD, is the inception, so the early stages, the very drafting of the project, where we can already give you a very early opinion if it's something which is going to work, where we will get the necessary approvals internally at the DoD. Also, I will be able to tell you very early if we have budget, if I know timeline-wise when it's going to happen. I can tell you already very early, if you come to me, very early, if there is budget and so on. That's also, if a CatB project, and I will show you in the next slide, gets approved by the steering board, at that moment, it's still possible to enter a project at a later phase, but it's much, much, much more complicated. It's because it's best to get in early. And that's why the inception phase for me is the most crucial one. And also because it's the early phases, even if the work packages and so on are not being defined in this phase, in the first one, it's very important to already be in contact with the other members of the consortium to already give first feedbacks on who could do what, even if it's not work package level described and attributed to the entities. It's important to be there early. It's best to be there early. Then we have the second phase of drafting and negotiation of the PA, drafting and managing of contracts, and the implementation of the PA, so getting everything done. I'll go quickly through the phases. So you have a first idea of a project being discussed in CapTEch. Some companies think maybe in the industry closed session, they start talking and they think it's starting to get done. They start working on DoD, the template provided by the EDA. I won't go into too much detail of the whole procedure. It's written there, and I will be able to explain it when the time comes. I don't have that much time, but I want to draw your attention to the red line, where we, DoD, get involved. Usually at the inception, it's industry talking and so on. We are not involved, except if you come to me early, I can already tell you if it's good or not. We start our internal procedure once the OD is drafted, where we have notes internally to validate the scope and the budget and the timeline of the project to be based on the OD, the outline description of the projects, which is, as Michel showed you, quite detailed, and the feedback that we get from you. We already got feedback sometimes that the OD is fine, but the consortium it's not really all that. And then we say, okay, if you tell us, maybe we'll wait a bit and see if it really happens, or maybe the consortium gets another member, it's stronger and so on. And I wrote here that the validation is usually a formality, because for now, the projects we have, we get information very early, and so internally everybody is already aware of what's coming, and so it goes quite quickly. The earlier you come to me with the information, the more we can digest everything, and the quicker the internal procedure will be. Yeah. So then once we have our internal validation, which is quite quick compared to the other countries, we, the R&T POC, which is myself or Aziliz. Aziliz is the official R&T POC, but I'm the backup. We give the green light to the for the document, and it goes for the approval to the steering board, which is a silence procedure of 1 month. And after that month, the project, the OD, is approved and the project is officially starting. Then we have phase 2, drafting and negotiation of the PA, project arrangement or program arrangements, because at EDA level in CapTEch you can also have programs with a lot of underlying projects. Once again, there's for the PA there are templates from EDA, so you don't need to worry, you never start from zero, where the financial arrangements are being defined, and legal provisions if there's an how is it called, a prototype being developed during a project, what happens with the prototype, and so on. Everything is defined in there. And there, once again, once there's a final-ish version of the PA, we do an internal review to check if budgetary-wise everything is correct, and legal-wise as well. I hear at that point, for instance, we can help if the industry doesn't know how to really fill out the document, because sometimes it's a bit confusing. I have no issue helping out and getting the document done and sending it back to the EDA. Then once the PA is finalized, yeah, we as a DoD give the ready to sign, that we are ready to sign the PA. It's usually at minister level and so on. Once it's signed, in parallel, it can also happen in parallel sometimes to get some time, to win some time. You have the contract drafting, which is, as Michel also already mentioned, the RTP, where you have really the work packages and who's going to work on what from the consortium of industry and RTOs. That's where we as DoD cannot really help, because it's much too technical for us. It's really working level, and you are the experts. And then there's also the industry consortium, the contract, which I think it's also the EDA, which provides templates and moderates a bit of how it needs to work, and they also sign it. And then that document coming out there will also need to be reviewed internally. But usually it doesn't take a lot of time on our side to get things done. The procedure internally is usually quite quick. Final draft of the contract is approved by consortium and by the contributing member states and signed. And then we have implementing the PA. So everything that is written in the PA needs to be put into practice and be administered and so on. Oh, somebody clicked. Also the invoicing and so on, everything, all that is managed by the EDA, which gathers all the invoices, for instance, of the consortium, and checks with the member state if for the financing and so on. So that's that. And that's already my last slide. I went through quite quickly because I didn't have that much time, but read through it at home, at work, or at home if you're home working. If you have questions, don't hesitate to contact me. My information is on the first slide. I believe it's readable, yes. And if you have further questions after a few days, don't hesitate to contact me. That's from my side.
Great. Thank you very much, Julien. I think it's very good and very important to see that DDOE can really support the Luxembourg industry on many different levels. You mentioned here really the CapB project. I think the OB studies also mentioned earlier can also be very interesting, and therefore also watch out for this. I've seen now that we have several questions that were already partly addressed, so I would just like maybe also Michel Gari to get back on the floor and to address this first question from Marino Poppe from Lux Space. The question was about who owns IP resulting from the CapTEch B projects. And then also one, I think this is a very good question also on, can the outcome be used for commercial applications by the consortium members?
I don't know if Michel also wants to join, but from my understanding, IP from CatB projects, that's also defined in the PA. It depends on from one project to another, and from the members of consortium who are present, and that's something that the EDA usually manages. I had a PA in front of the eyes a couple of days ago where there were questions of IP on the IP and so on, and that's something which the EDA usually manages.
Yeah, basically the IP belongs to the consortium members and to the contributing member states which fund. It is the usual rule for project in cooperation funded by some nations. Yeah. So you pay, you have the right to have the information.
Yeah, and there is also, I think, a clause for use for the industry that participated. I think, but that's something which we can, if we do information sessions with an EDA, maybe at a later stage, at a broader level like this, there's other questions which can be answered by EDA and see what's possible, because they know the regulations better than I do. But yeah.
Okay, then maybe just now just a last question then before moving on to the industry panel. I think this is the question about what is the timeline for CapB project? How much time does it take from a project outline description to the signature of the contract? So I think the average probably it's 1 year, but can it go faster? And if yes, what are the factors that will be important to consider it?
Well, as Michel said, average 1 year. I think that's correct. To get it faster, that really is usually not in our hands as Luxembourgish DoD, because usually we are waiting on the others, because our internal procedure is quite fast compared to a lot of other countries. And when we take, I don't know, 2 weeks, they may take a month, and you have already 2 weeks on top. And that you have that for, as I showed, you have various documents that need legal review, and you have that a few times, and then it adds on, and you are around a year. But that also means that if it takes around a year and you come very early to me with a project idea, I can already see budgetary wise for next year. If I currently plan it in my planning and budgetary planning, I can already see add that project. And so for 1 year for me is personally at the DoD, it's a good thing that it takes 1 year, because budget wise we can plan ahead, and less projects are being declined.
Okay, so thank you very much for these very valuable questions. I see there's another question also from Luxtrust, from Frédéric Touré, which touches upon this process, but I would propose that we covered, let's say, the general phases, and we'll also be glad then to get back to these questions after the session. But yeah, thank you very much to the both panelists. I would then propose to go on to the second part with the industry testimonials. And I think here it's very good to see that each of our panelists today, so we have Rhea Group, we have Lux Bay, we have Gradel and University of Luxembourg, all of them are active already in at least 2 CapTEchs. And therefore, I think it will be very interesting to hear of each of them. What is their entity about? What is the implication in the CapTEch? And what are the lessons learned so far? Now, while Christine uploads also her presentation, I would like to point out the recent success of Rhea and Lux Bay, which actually signed just 1 month ago a contract with the Director of Defence for the lifetime maintenance and operations of Luxeosis, so Luxembourg's Earth observation system, procured by the Luxembourg government. And congratulations already to this for Rhea and Lux Bay. And this being said, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alexander. I hope everybody hear me properly. So thank you very much for having invited Rhea Luxembourg to this session. As I said to you, you know, Alexander, we have very little experience with EDA. We're starting to work on the CapTEch, on some CapTEchs, and I will make this presentation to you. And so we have some experience and testimonial to give, and I hope that it would be useful. So let's move to the presentations. I will make a short introduction to Rhea, to the Rhea Group, because I think it's important to understand who we are before we move to describing why we're interested in CapTEch. And then I will focus specifically on CapTEch, with looking into what benefits are, what drawbacks we see, and what recommendations we could give possibly to you, I mean, to the national coordinator of those CapTEchs. First, very quickly, you know what we do. We are a space and security engineering services company. We're providing customized technology solution, enabling design, operation, and secure utilizations of space systems, and also other critical infrastructure on Earth. How do we do it? We apply original thinking expertise. We have a trusted relationship also with a lot of partners, governments, and customers, and to find the best way to deliver. We are operating in Europe and Canada, and in Europe we have opened our last office that we opened was a year ago already. Alexander, it was in Luxembourg, so we've created Rhea Luxembourg. Initially we were 4, and I can tell you we will be about 20, you know, starting 2022, and we expect to have about 40 people at the end of 2022. So this is really some company which is growing quite quickly. Who are our main customers? Well, the Luxembourg Space Agency, you know, I started with the Luxembourg, in fact, customers. We're working with the Space Agency, of course, but as you mentioned, we've just won this contract, which is called now, so, you know, in broad terms, the Luxeosis contract with partners, by the way, right? We have Luxtrust, Frédéric is there, Luxtrust, OHB, Luxspace, High-Tech with us. So it's quite a strong Luxembourgish consortium that won this project, and Rhea and Luxspace are in the leading seats. We have, of course, Belspo. Belgium is their space agency equivalent, I would say, as a customer. But we also have the Netherlands MOD, European Space Agency, USPA, the Commission, the EDA, Eurocontrol, and NATO. So you see, it's a broad number of customers in the governmental areas, including defense. I know you wanted me to talk about this project, which is not a CapTEch project, Alexander. This is more a study which was conducting and initiated by ESA. As you know, Rhea is providing cyber range capacity and cyber range capabilities to test the space missions of ESA. And so together with ESA, we proposed to define with EDA cyber threat intelligence process and prioritize those cyber threat intelligence activities, collecting, analyzing, and exploiting them. So we moved to this evaluation, the definition of the model for space, to a demonstration of a scenario within the ESA cyber range, showing the value comparison of cyber incident management in the absence of cyber threat intelligence and in presence when informed of cyber threat intelligence. So it was a 2-year contract, which is now finalized. And I just wanted to let you know that, you know, this is not CapTEch, but we definitely have this experience to work with EDA on that study. Yes, next. Rhea contribution to CapTEch. I just want to, I will repeat, you know, some of what has been said before by the more experts than me in that. We are a CapTEch non-governmental experts, right? This is how it is called. And I think that the acronyms are quite difficult to follow for somebody who is non-initiated, I would say. So this is something that we have to learn very quickly, is to understand those acronyms. So the CapTEch non-governmental experts are appointed from industry, from SMEs, from research organizations, scientific institutes, and academia. And they are subject to the approval, as Julien said, of the relevant CapTEch national coordinator. So we have been approved, you know, as Luxembourgish representative, I mean, from Rhea Luxembourg to some of the CapTEchs. We participate as non-governmental experts in 2 areas. In space, we contribute from Luxembourg and also from Belgium entities to the ad hoc working group. The fact that Rhea is located in 10, you know, different locations in Europe, we can also move to different member states national coordinator within those CapTEch, depending on their interest, of course, and we can join other specific CapTEchs from there. In cyber, we started to work with from the Belgian and from the Italian entities, but we're now contributing and ready to contribute from Luxembourg as well as in the cyber CapTEch. The work consists in discussions and activities. One of them is, has been mentioned, prioritizations of the technology building blocks. So trying to define what are, you know, how to prioritize the building blocks which have been, you know, proposed by OSRA, as was presented earlier. And also we work in defining research and technology ad hoc projects and studies on a bottom-up, so technology push, and respond to top-down capability pull request. So we can come with proposal and, you know, try to see whether they fit to the technology building blocks, or there could also be capability push on doing specific things. Okay, sorry, next one. So in the ad hoc working group space, it's just started in June, so it's quite a new one. It is considered, you know, early on I understood that it is considered as a CapTEch. For me, it's a beginning of a CapTEch. You know, it's a sort of first discussions and first evaluations of what could be done, and I assume that it will be moved very soon into a proper CapTEch group. So we are defining together with the different actors the first strategic research agenda. And the technology landscaping is about the space defense domain, right? How is it ongoing and what should be developed? What are the gaps where we want to work? Space, by the way, is a very recent element which has been added to, you know, as I said, June, to the EDA, also to NATO. It is considered as an important area now for defense. And so there's a lot of work to be done there. So we contribute to this technology landscaping activity, giving feedback, you know, on what we consider should be done or could be done. And at the moment, there are 11 technology building blocks. So you understand the realm, you know, the large opportunities and capabilities that are proposed there. So there's a lot of work to be done, and sometimes, you know, it could be long. The last meeting lasted almost 4 days, okay, which is for an industry partner, whatever, you know, size you have, it is quite a long process, right? This is something that you have to share with different colleagues, because you need to cover all of those technology building blocks. At least for Rhea, we are interested in all of them. But we could give you some examples of where we are working. You know, in the TBB1 is about architecture and policy. The TBB2 is about passive and active RF and optical technologies for Earth observation and space-based reconnaissance. TBB3 is about passive and active technologies for space situation awareness and tracking. And then we have TBB6. Another one is about disruptive technologies, including quantum, which is, of course, a very important element coming also in the space area. And then data and signal processing, for example, in TBB7, including artificial intelligence and data fusion. So that's one example for space. For CapTEch Cyber, CapTEch non-governmental experts discussed, in fact, industry positions towards the cyber strategic research agenda. And we participated to the prioritization of those cyber technology building blocks. And here again, we give some examples, you know, of on technology building blocks. I'm not going to read them all, but you see that there's a lot about cyber defense or situation awareness. You know, I can talk also of TBB4, cross-cutting cyber defense for land, maritime, air, and space. So you see that they are cross gap filling between the different CapTEch. And TBB6 is about quantum computing, cryptography with cyber implication. So that's to give you an example of what we're working on. So the benefits in participating. So I think that it's important that we give some ideas on that. First, I mean, you know, the gathering intelligence on this sector is quite important. For the CapTEch national coordinator, of course, the relationship with the national coordinators is essential. I mean, this is something that's what's said before by Julien. And those coordinators are essential information, giving us information, and are capable of helping us in their information exchange. So I think that's between the different CapTEch national coordinators. The CapTEch governmental members, I'm sorry, there is some issues that happened when I made a PDF. So we have 3 CapTEch governmental members are also important, like there could be public research and technology organizations, ministers of defense, and military. They contribute as experts to the specific topics, to the discussions and activities, and they support their CapTEch national coordinator in the CapTEch activities. So they are also providing inputs and information into the discussions. And of course, the third one is the contributing industry members themselves, who are, you know, proposing those, you know, some projects within the TBBs, and where we can indeed see where the development is going and whether we can, as a company, support that. We have a second one is that we are in the early business development opportunities, like for the ad hoc working group on space. It's clear that if you are there, you can really understand where the programs are going, where the projects will go, and we can understand very, very quickly how and which projects we can enter to. So I think that that's something that is quite important. And we can understand also the MOD's interest, not only from Luxembourg, from the other member states, and the discussion with Luxembourg will be absolutely key to understand, you know, what could be funded. And finally, we can finally move to a co-funded project. I think that's interesting because I don't think we have talked about the co-funding and the level of funding of those projects. And I would like also to ask those questions to the experts who were there in your panel, Alexander, to maybe understand better what it means, you know, for the industry to enter those projects. For us, it's a co-funding. And so, but we have the possibility to link a project idea, a project which is shared with a screen approved by the member state, so in this case, Luxembourg, and EDA to move them to a co-funded project, which is the category B project of EDA, or to move to the European Defence Funds, as was explained earlier on. The drawbacks are the long discussions. I mean, long discussions to screen these technical building blocks and to decide on priorities. As I said, you know, 4 days is a lot, you know, for industry to invest. So there's a lot of, it's a slow process. This is something which is I assume very necessary when we're talking about so essential technologies for defense. I mean, they have to be really well thought, but it takes a long time. So we have high political talks at the beginning. So before going into something more concrete, it takes some months and some time. It's about research and development and technology, and there is no automatic immediate link to concrete business. We were talking about the link between this and commercial. It remains a research and development project to start with. And of course, we hope that there will be a commercial opportunity within the defense sector. I mean, that whatever is produced, whatever is developed, will be used and bought by the defense, but it's not automatic, right? This is something which is not easy to move to. And then the time to close the deal is of around 1.5. You said 1 year, Alexander. I'm a little bit more pessimistic. I say 1.5 years. So this is what we should expect, and so we should work having that and keeping that in mind. Whether we can reduce it is another topic that we can discuss. So my last slide's on recommendation. I think that it's been clear that we need to contact the CapTEch moderator, which is the moderator of the CapTEch in particular, you know, or the ad hoc working group from EDA. We need also to contact the CapTEch national coordinator. I think that was clear to evaluate whether what we have in mind can be funded. We have to be patient. There is no other way for the moment. We have to assign the right experts also to the discussions, because there's very technical discussions happening there. And we need to continue monitoring activities in the CapTEch of interest. I think that that's something that we should do, all of us, and stimulate, in fact, the debate with the CapTEch national coordinator, with the MOD also of Luxembourg, is absolutely essential to align industrial interest strategy with defense needs. Otherwise, we are losing time. I'm done with my presentation, Alexander.
Great, thank you very much, Christine. I think so. We'll move on quite rapidly also then with the other presentations. So the next speaker would then be Gert Eiden from Lux Bay. Lux Bay is active in the maritime CapTEch and has already had some experience with a project which has been funded by the Director of Defence. So we'll be happy to listen to your experience, Gert.
Yes, thank you, Alexander. Can everybody hear me clear and loud?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, first of all, welcome to all the participants. I'm happy to explain a little bit our experience to work with EDA also on the CapTEch. So happy to explain that. Just before we start, I will give you a quick introduction about Lux Bay, so who we are. So Lux Space was created in 2004 as a subsidy of OHB in Bremen, OHB SE. We are currently a staff of about 60 people located here in Betzdorf, close to the SAS offices. Our business lines are 3 types. So basic activity is the manufacturing of microsatellites. But we are also developing components and different technologies like subsystems, our own avionic and systems. We are quite strong in satellite simulators. And on top of that, we are also working on satellite services and applications. You may know that we are using satellites and terrestrial technology, observing the global vessel tracking since quite a while, and we are providing that information to clients all over the world. So vessel tracking information. Sorry, here we are. So what was our involvement in EDA programs in the past? So we started, in fact, quite early, already in 2013. There was an ITT published by EDA on innovative concepts and emerging technologies. It was a competitive tendering where one topic was of specific interest for us. It was the application of artificial intelligence and data fusion, data mining, and data analytics tools, which raised our interest, especially because we are dealing with quite a lot of AIS positions every day. And we were interested in, okay, how we can improve our system with latest technology in data fusion, data mining, analysis, what is the relevant technology behind, how we can apply this new technology in our system. So we teamed up with the University of Poznan in Poland, which are experts in big data processing. So it was a perfect fit for us to learn from research and technology institutions and to transfer that knowledge to Lux Space and to implement it, in fact. So the objective was to develop an AIS-based analytical data platform, which we did. It was a one-year project, so we just did a very small prototype, but the exercise was so successful that we decided, okay, we go for a Cat B project. We were supported by the Luxembourg DoD and the Ministry of Defence from Poland. So we did a follow-up project where we said, okay, we will further develop our prototype platform developed in CIMO 1. And yeah, we start that activity. We are almost at the end of this CIMO 2 project 21. And you may see the time gap between the finalization of CIMO 1 and CIMO 2. It took quite some time to get this Cat B project going. This was basically because we were the first Luxembourg company to apply for Cat B, and quite some administrative procedures had to be settled between Poland and Luxembourg, between Luxembourg and EDA, and within the Luxembourg government. So it took quite some time to get really the contract signed. What was our motivation to join? I think I already explained. So some innovative technology coming from research and implement this toolbox into our current system. This was our basic aim, and to be honest, it really worked fine. We learned a lot from the Polish colleagues. We have now implemented all that latest technology in our data processing system, and we are able to provide improved services and added value products, not only to the commercial customers, but also to institutional customers, not yet to any military market, but at least we have benefited a lot. Okay, next slide. What are the challenges? So as I wrote, no gain without any pain. What is quite important in setting up a Cat B project is to find the right partner. What was already mentioned, you need to find a cross-border company which would like to collaborate with you. So at least you need two partners. And this is, of course, a challenge to find somebody who's really complementary and not competing on a specific subject. This is quite tricky and may take time. It would, of course, be easier if we could do a national consortium, so just Luxembourg partners, but this is unfortunately not possible. The second challenge is, of course, to convince the DoD or the ministries from the two countries about your idea, about your concept. and to assure the necessary funding. And then what was already said by others, I mean, there is a certain time gap between the initial ideas, so the initial approach to DoD, and the project kickoff, so the contract signature. So this may take a year, 1.5 years. So it should not be, let's say, the perspective should be on a long term, not necessarily to improve a product right now to get on the market within the next half year, let's say. So it needs to have a long-term perspective. And what is always a big issue are the IP rights. Not necessarily with the DoD or the MODs, it's more internally inside the consortium, who owns the IP rights, who is able to market a specific subset of the technology you have developed. It can be a long discussion within the consortium, so take care, this can be an issue. So these are the pains. The gains and the benefits are quite huge. So this CapB project, they provide quite some easy access to funding opportunities. It's by far easier compared to Horizon 2020 or ESA projects. The good thing is that the framework is quite flexible because you can define the scope, the objectives, you can define the timeline, and the paperwork is really, let's say, manageable. It's not like in Horizon 2020 projects where you have not only to elaborate a 100-page proposal, but also the execution of the project as such is quite, let's say, simple and does not require that much, let's say, administrative efforts. The other benefit is, at least this is our experience, that in our CIMO project, we really got the knowledge transferred to our team. So from research to industry, this worked out very good. The program supports the development of our product, of our existing product, but also gave us some indication on what we need to do in the future. And of course, it allows us, not right now, but in the future, I hope that we also access other markets and other market opportunities. So this is in a nutshell what we experience working with EDA. So overall, our experience is very positive, and I can encourage everybody really to try to make an effort to join this EDA activity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gert, for this very nice presentation. So before moving to the next presentation, I would just like to point out that, yes, in fact, the intellectual property rights is really important to take into consideration as early as possible, already during the drafting and also the negotiation phase. But I also understand that really that going through this process as smoothly as possible is also, for this process, it's important really to build up trust also with the Director of Defense. And in this sense, this is also where Luxinnovation and the Director of Defense can support you. So thank you very much, Gert. The next presentation will be from the University of Luxembourg by Inma. So Inma is currently working at the Faculty of Science, Technology and Medicine. And they are also active in the CapTEch materials and have also been able to make some experience to this project creation process. So I will be happy to let Inma to the floor and to listen to the challenges and benefits you consider on your side on the CapTEchs.
Thanks, Alexander. Thanks all the speakers. I just want to bring some practical experience from our side. I think I'm very happy about the talks. They have been very practical and to the point. So then I will do the same. So we haven't gone through a project yet. We are in the middle of this long process to get a project approved. It takes, they mentioned 1.5 years, 1 year. I think we already passed many, many months. So I will not lie, it's a long process. The meetings are very long, as Christian mentioned. Very often the CapTEch meetings are 3 days, 3 full days, which is a lot for for any industry, but also for the university, right? It's a steep learning curve to enter into the jargon of the EDA and CapTEch, because in your joint meetings where they mention all these acronyms like PA, RTP, OD, CapTEch, CNC. So it takes, what I want to tell is that it takes commitment and time, right? As my colleagues were mentioning, it's a long-term process. You cannot plan it as institution as something that you will get results right away. I also think that my impression is that there is a lot to gain, but yeah, it's good to keep it in mind. So how the University of Luxembourg, how my faculty got into this business. I think it came from the fact that the faculty is very active. I'm so happy to see among the people so many names, so many companies and institutions that we work together. So it's a pity that I only see the the little logos, but we cannot see us together. It will have been great. But you know, it's like in Luxembourg, we are active, we know what's going on. And I think the Ministry of Defense and the faculty joined together and discussed. We had a pitch from the many researchers that they were interested. And as a result, we became members, and we went through the process of, okay, let's be a member. What do we do? What does it mean? And start participating in meetings and say, okay, and identifying projects where at the beginning of the project is like Julien mentioned, it's very important to join in when it's being defined. So we are there. I'm very happy to say that probably we will get 2 projects approved, and the researchers are really looking forward. They ask us, they ask every month to know what's going on. On the good side, I can say that the Ministry of Defense, the Directorate are so helpful and so approachable and so practical. You know, it is very useful, you know, to have a chat, and then you see, okay, this is an interest for us, but how does it work in your side? And they are clear, and there is no much, you know, running the tail. You know, it goes to the facts and to the reality, which actually helps a lot. So this is what I can say. I had a presentation, but it's just about the faculty and what we are interested in. We are among friends. I think everyone knows each other, mostly. So the faculty, well, we are about 500 researchers. We have about 600 publications. There are many fundamental research. This is the university. We do apply results, but I think the bulk of it is fundamental research. So there are 5 departments, faculty in the faculty, so computer science, engineering, physics, and life science and medicine. And so what I just wanted to point out is that on the CapTEch materials, if you go over the priorities or the interests, I think we can contribute to some of them because there is the know-how and there is the expertise. And the interesting thing is that there is fundamental research on it. The materials CapTEch doesn't go all the time until the highest level. And this is where we can actually contribute. And this is just the contact information, but I will be very happy to share my experience. And actually, it's more interesting the questions, I think. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Inma. You are absolutely right, but thanks a lot. I think it's good to see that you have already been preparing projects and they are close to being finalized. So wishing you all the best that it goes through. So the last speaker will be then from Gradel, David Masseria. So they are active in the CapTEch materials as well, but important to say that Gradel has been building up competences in the lightweight materials domain, and in this sense has also been joining the initiative of the Luxembourg Institute of Science and Technology on sustainable composite materials and manufacturing. So I'm very glad to have you here with us today, David, and yeah, looking forward to hearing your experience.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for this invitation. And I congratulate also all the colleagues and the speakers that they really transmit the message. And I think most of the attendants, they understand that we should have patience. And from our experience, mainly I would like to introduce Gradel. Maybe some people knows Gradel and some not, but Gradel started with manufacturing materials like propulsion machines, and then currently we are going to lightweight structures. And these lightweight structures open us more to enter this EDA materials group. How we entered there, how we were contacted, mainly it was even Aziliz which contacted us at the time. We didn't know about. And then we entered this CapTEch. But as before mentioned, CapTEch is huge. You have many groups. You need to lose time. You need to find your group. You need to assist to these meetings, these long meetings, which many times you will say, I'm losing my time. Why should I be here? But at the end, we have a good experience, not only because we are thinking about making projects or having funding no, it's also the part that you will meet other companies from other countries with other expertise. And this expertise maybe today in your product you didn't think about. And later on you say, wow, if I combine this expertise from this person or this country, I might have another product. This is one advantage to participate in these long meetings. And then the other advantage is that also that in these meetings, with so many partners from Europe, you can also imagine and think about another project in an open call. And this opens you because people will know you. You can also present your ideas. And mainly important is that you can shape the program. You can say, okay, I have this technology currently. I would like to bring it in the project because I think it's innovative or I have an idea. Then you can also propose your presentation and other members will see your product, will say, yes, it makes sense, it doesn't make sense. And this is a big advantage. Then the other point that I would like to mention is, yes, please don't lose time. If you find directly an idea, if you have an idea, if you find a good group and share it directly with the government, with the MODs, because they can guide you, you should do that. No, you should avoid to lose your time. Indirectly, we have a good experience. Like we started last year, we managed to find our group, because to find a group, it takes you time. You need to be patient. And then if you found it, you can draft the proposal, and this proposal afterwards, you will already input your knowledge, already input how you are comfortable to assist on the project and to make it bigger. And currently we are expecting to have our first project around next year. By the second quarter, we should maybe be able to start, but it's a long process. It can take between 1 to 2 years and 1.5. You should be patient, but you have a lot of other advantage. It's really to see what is going on in Europe and which kind of businesses you are doing and which other colleagues are doing maybe on the same domain, and you can join these forces. From my part, I have a good experience on the EDF. It's a truth that in the beginning, when I assisted on the first meetings, I was really not upset, but I was really sad because I hear a lot speaking. I don't know how to enter, and then you need to be active. You need really to give active and give your ideas. I would like to share only a small movie like this. You can see what we are currently doing on our material and structures. ultra lightweight. And if one of you have an idea where we can collaborate, you are welcome. We are open always to make development together, and also to integrate your product maybe in our structures, or if you need for the future. Let me see if it will work, because I will be the only one who will show a movie. Okay, we started, like I told you, in 1960 in the nuclear, where we made different machines, special machines in very harsh environment. In 2010, we went to the space industry, where we developed huge components for holding the satellites and to make the testings. And now lately we are developing a revolutionary industry where it's really adding material where it's really needed. And we are developing the robotic approach, where we will certainly be also qualifying our process for space applications, where the weight is really a big issue. And in the CapTEch, everybody is very sorry for the sound, but this is what we are entering to the CapTEch. We are going more to this direction with lightweight structures. It's really if anybody has a question, you can don't hesitate to contact us, or it will be a pleasure to answer you any question. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. Great video, and I think the message from David is quite clear. Let's go for this. And so I see there's no questions in the chat, but I all hear from the speakers that they are of course willing to answer questions, and ourselves at Luxinnovation and the DoD were of course very happy if you want to contact us and ask for more information. So I would like to thank all the panelists, and then just before concluding this first information session, also point out that we will organize another CapTEch information session, or more an info day, in Q1 of 2022 together with the European Defence Agency. And in this context, I think it will be then more about the details and how to point out the strategic research agendas, and how to give your inputs in the prioritized CapTEchs. Then I would just like to rapidly give also an outlook on the events that we plan also at Luxinnovation. Just having a look at the following slide. So in December, there will be the annual conference Innovation in Defense of the European Defence Agency. This is on the 7th of December. It's still possible to register, but physically will not be possible, but certainly online it will be nice, and also to see what are the different departments at the European Defence Agency. Then also in December, we'll have the training, as already mentioned, by Michel Gari on the EU capability development priorities and the strategic contact cases. This is absolutely complementary to what was presented today, and will be done together with the European Defence Agency. Then we have some interesting events coming up in January and February. So there's a European Space Conference in Brussels. There will be the GovSatCom conference hosted in Luxembourg by LuxGovSat, and it will be about defense and security. And also maybe to mention the European Space Summit that will be introduced on the 16th of February. Besides that, we are also in the planning, as said before, of this CapTEch Info Day with the European Defence Agency. Also interesting to follow is the strategic compass that will be presented by the French EU presidency in March 2022. It will cover security and defense aspects. There's also this action plan from the European Commission on synergies between civil space and defense industry, which was presented early this year, but which is going to be rolled out during the next year. And also to keep in mind is the second call of the European Defence Fund, which will be launched in Q2 of the next year. So if you want to be regularly updated on these defense-related events, we have this newsletter, and otherwise you're of course very welcome to check out also our website. And in this sense, I would again like to thank all of the participants, and I wish you a very good lunch all together.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Alexander.